Passover is, and go into different subject and topics. All right, so we're just going to quickly discuss the Passover. What's the purpose of the Passover? All right, because some people might not understand the purpose of the Most High Passover and why it was instituted and why it was established. All right, so basically, coming up on Friday, March 30th, will be the Passover, sundown. Right? So the Passover was an institution set up by the Most High in commemoration to us leaving Egypt. Right? It started off the beginning of months, and it started the trend of our calendar, of our New Year's from the Exodus out of Egypt, where it was polluted and corrupted in Egypt. So the Most High did these things to deliver us out of Egypt. And in doing that, He gave us the requirements of how to sacrifice the Passover, the lamb, and what we must do. All right? And it also is a commemoration representing H.O.D.C, his birth, death, and resurrection. All right? It's all intertwined to one. But it started out first when the Most High used it in the physical appearance of it. All right? And when H.O.D.C came on the scene, it was done in the spiritual form. All right? So we're just going to go into that real briefly quick. We're not going to elaborate on the whole thing. We're just going to touch the basics so you can get a basic understanding. Because the brother asked me about the Passover. Right? The days that we meet, the first day is a holy convocation, which is a holy gathering. And the last day is a holy convocation, which is a gathering of the congregation. Now, in that, when the Passover comes, it begins the Feast of Unleavened Bread. On that day, you don't eat nothing with leaven, nothing that contains yeast, right? So that goes into bread, cakes, anything that has leaven that causes food to rise, right? Particularly bread. The majority of people put yeast in bread so the bread could rise, or in cakes or whatever. But in that day, we're not supposed to eat nothing with yeast. I know it's kind of hard in this wicked setup, but try to do the best you can to avoid the yeast. Right? So let's go into Exodus real quick. Matter of fact, let's go to Leviticus, and then we jump around too quick. Let's go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Matter of fact, no, we should read Exodus. Let's go to Exodus real quick. Exodus. You're not going to read the whole chapter, just a few verses. So let's start from Exodus 12 and 1.
Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. And the Most High spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying.
So this was while I was in Egypt, all right, in the land of bondage, in Pharaoh's land, all right, being strangers in a land that's not ours, all right. Read on.
Verse 2. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months.
So the Most High told Moses and Aaron, this month, which was the month of Abib, shall be the beginning of months unto you. All right. So here the Most High is setting the precedence of our calendar, of our new year, where everything is going to begin. So the Most High is getting us prepared to start off His new calendar, His account of everything that He's going to do with us. Because remember, in Egypt, we were all corrupted and polluted with the ways of Egypt, the customs, the learning, the doctrines, the religions, everything that Egypt promoted and taught. We were caught up into it, just like here in America.
Right.
All right, here in America, we caught up into all the nonsense here in America. Like yesterday, I went to pick up my grandson. And what are they doing? Celebrating St. Patrick's Day. I said, look at this foolishness, man. So you can't escape it. You know what I mean? So here come the teacher wearing the St. Patrick's hat, like, oh boy. He's Irish today. I just like, you know what? I'm just bypass it and just act like I didn't even see it. You know what I mean? So he came home. So I said, bro, what you got on there? He said, green. I said, yeah, St. Patrick. I said, yeah. He said, oh, you know. I said, yeah. I said, you know it's a pagan day, right? He said, no. Teacher. I said, boy, in school they really hammer and brainwash him with that foolishness, man. So just like in Egypt, we were corrupted and into all the madness that Egypt was doing. All right, the things that Egypt were wearing the ox symbol, worshiping Isis, Horus. We're doing all that crap in Egypt. Totally polluted, man. So it's the same thing all over again here. So that's why the Most High got to take us out of here and clean us up, man.
Come.
So you can't expect nothing. You just got to expect the worst and just deal with it, man. And just teach them, you know what I mean? Because you can't escape it,
Right.
you know? So so the Most High was setting the presidency for our beginning of our new year and our calendar. All right? Go ahead.
I'm going to read verse 2 from the beginning. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house.
All right. So the Most High said on the 10th day of that month, he's going to take a lamb, put it up for a certain amount of days. You can start to get the lamb prepared, have it there, separated. All right. So in the 4 days, you're going to have it where he's not eating nothing, defiling nothing. He's being preserved in that area until the day that you sacrifice it for the Passover. So that's like a preparation for the lamb. All right. Read on.
And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb.
Right. So it's not according to your household. All right. Because a lot of us in Egypt, so everybody had to set up one for their household in Egypt. All right. Read on.
Verse 5. Your lamb shall be without blemish.
And this is one of the main reason why the Most High said, take the lamb and put it up. Because the lamb is supposed to be without blemish. No marks, no cuts, nothing. A lamb is supposed to be pure. All right? Nothing to defile that lamb. No one eye, no broken foot, no scratch, no lice, no ticks, no nothing on it. All right? So now today, when you get your food from the markets, it's all, you don't know how the animals are. Broken, hunchback, all clumped up, sick, hoof and mouth disease, all kind of foolishness, because they were not going according to the way the Most High set up the laws of how you treat your herds of flocks and stuff. So the Most High was very strict with us, but we dealt with everything. When it came to the land, the animals, the Most High gave us laws on how to deal with these things, so we won't have these sicknesses and diseases amongst our animals. Because when you eat those things, that's how you get sick. You get diseases. So this was all done where the Most High said that when you eat these animals, you won't get sick. Now a lot of people say, I'm a vegetarian, I don't eat that stuff. Well, that's good. But the Most High gave us a dietary law and what to eat. If a person chooses to be a vegetarian, that's their prerogative. They can't condemn you because you eat meat. Or I can't condemn if they eat vegetables. That's what they want to do. But the Most High gave us a dietary law, what to eat and what not to eat. Now, so if you notice, of the dietary laws of the Most High gave, of the meats to eat, these animals only eat grass. They don't eat nothing else but grass. All right? But a lot of people might fight against that and say, nah, brother, nah, I'm a vegetarian. All right, so be it. But I'm going to go according to what the Most High said in the scripture. All right? So read on.
Verse 5. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats.
All right, so you could either take it from the sheep or the goats, but it had to be a year old. All right, it couldn't be too young or too old. If it's too young, it's not good. If it's too old, it's not good because it's going to be too tough. All right, you want it just right. You don't want it too young because sometimes the animal is still doing what? Nursing. It's still nursing. So after the animal stops nursing, then you could have it. You could kill it. But while it's nursing, you can't kill it. The Most High was strict, and the Most High tells you all this in scriptures. All right, read on.
Verse 6. And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
Right, so the Most High said keep it up until the 14th day, which is the Passover. And then when the sun goes down in the evening, you kill that lamb. All right, so that 14th day at evening was going to be the 15th day. That was going to be the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Because the Feast of Unleavened Bread and the Passover is ultimately the same thing. All right? So the Most High said on the 14th day at the evening, you're going to kill that lamb. And that's when you begin that Passover. All right? Read on.
Verse 7. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper doorposts of the houses wherein they shall eat it.
So that's what the Most High did. This was like a ritual that the Most High gave us, a righteous ritual. Right? It was done for a purpose. All right? Moses take the blood and sprinkle it upon the doorposts and the lintels. All right? And it was done for a particular purpose. All right? Now, you might see witches and people do this here in what they're doing, their wicked seance and ritual, because everything has a left and a right to it, a negative and a positive. Right? You could use the Bible for negative, and you could use it for positive. All right? Because that's how the Most High made this world, in two opposing forces, a righteous force and an opposing force, left and a right, up and down. All right? Light and darkness. Right? That's why the Most High said either yes or no. All right? Good and evil. That's why the Most High made the world. And it was done for a particular purpose and reason why the Most High did these things. All right? Read on.
Verse 8. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it.
Right, so bitter herbs were herbs that was real bitter. All right? Some bitter herbs consist of lettuce. You have the bitter, what you call this stuff? Horseradish. And there's another type of lettuce that's real bitter. All right, but these were bitter herbs, and all these herbs represents. It has a symbolic meaning because the bitter herb represents the hard bondage in Egypt. All right, so the Most. Read that verse again.
Verse 8. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread.
Unleavened bread. So the bread was unleavened. The bread was not. It was baked without yeast, so the bread was unable to rise. It was a flat bread. All right. Today you call it like a pita bread today, but with no yeast in it. And you can make your own breads or cakes. All right. Read on.
And with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the pertinence thereof.
All right. Now read down to okay, read on down, yeah.
Verse 10. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire.
So anything that's left over, the Most High said burn it with fire. All right, read on.
And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It's the Most High's Passover.
Right, so the Passover was more of a night. It wasn't a night so much of partying and fancy stuff. All right? The Most High said you should eat it with your loins girded. Your loins girded up with your girdle. All right? And your loins girded, your shoes on your feet. All right? And your staff in your hand. They had the staff in their hand, and you shall eat it in haste. All right? Because it's the Most High's Passover. Why? Because the Most High was going to pass through Egypt and kill all the firstborn in Egypt. And after that, he was going to jet out of Egypt. All right? It wasn't a night so much of partying and everybody drinking and getting wine and boogieing down. You understand? It wasn't a night like that. All right? Now, when we get back in our kingdom, it was done differently because we were in our land. You understand? But when we were in Egypt, it wasn't that time to party, drink, get wine. Yo! No. Eat that lamb, staff in your hand, shoes in your foot, loins girded, and get ready to get the hell out of Egypt. Because the Most High was bringing judgment on Egypt. All right? Read on.
Verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and I will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt.
And the Most High did that. He killed all the firstborn in the land of Egypt. The firstborn of man, of animals. The Most High killed everything. All right, to show Egypt who's the power, because the Egyptians made mockery of the Most High. They doubted the Most High. Said, who's your God? You understand? So the Most High had to show them who's the power. All right? Just like he's going to show America who's the power. All right? Read on.
Both men and beasts, and against all the gods of Egypt.
Against all the gods of all the different gods that they had. Egypt had a god for everything. The god of the underworld, the god of the living, the god of justice, the god, you name the god for everything. Isis, Horus, Patha. They had a god for everything. All right? So the Most High said, you know what? I'm going to bring you against all your gods that you have in Egypt. And that's exactly what the Most High did. All right? Read on.
I will execute judgment. I am Yahweh. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are.
See, so the blood was a token. Right? The Most High said that blood shall be a token unto you. All right? So that blood has a significant meaning. All right? Read on.
And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you, when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Most High throughout your generations.
So this is the reason why the Passover is being kept. It's supposed to be a feast throughout our generations. All right? Read on.
Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread.
See the basic of it now? 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. All right? No bread with no yeast. All right? Read on.
Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
And the Most High was serious about that. For 7 days we ate bread without yeast. And what was the purpose of this? The Most High was giving us a fast and a cleanse. Right? He was getting ready to clean us up from all the filth that we had in Egypt. All right? Even though Egypt kept certain dietary laws, they still were backward in a lot of stuff that they did. I won't say backward, but they were not taught the ways of the Most High. And if they were, they went away from it. Because during the time of Joseph, they had to follow what Joseph instituted. All right? Because Joseph was second in command. And Pharaoh told Joseph, he said, whatever you decree or pass, I'm going to abide by. So when Joseph died, all that went out the way. And that new Pharaoh came and said, I'm the new Pharaoh now. Who is Joseph? You understand? So they went right back into that old wicked ways. You understand? Because Joseph taught them the ways of the Most High in Egypt. All right? All right? Read on.
Verse 16. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you.
All right, read on.
And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations, by an ordinance forever. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at evening, ye shall eat unleavened bread.
So that's the 15th day. So the Most High you the 14th day, when that sun goes down at even, this is going to begin the feast of unleavened bread. All right? Read a verse again.
Verse 18. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread, until the 21st day of the month at even.
Until the 21st day of the month at even. So that's 7 days you shall eat that unleavened bread. From the 14th day at sundown to the 21st day at sundown. That gives you 7 days complete. All right? Read on.
Verse 19. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Ye shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitations shall ye eat unleavened bread.
All right. So you understand the Most High keep reiterating it over and over. So you can't say, well, I didn't know. I didn't know. Because a lot of people say, well, the Israelites were illiterate. They couldn't read. Don't be that foolish. We know how to read, man. We were not illiterate and dumb, stupid people, man. All right. Then we had the elders that taught the people. And they rehearsed and read these laws in the sight of the people. All right. That's why the Most High said, write these things down for the generations to come. Yes.
And you know, it's another thing that people forget. They have to eat that leavened bread 7 days. They forget because some people don't eat bread every day or things like that.
Right.
They forget that the Most High said you have to eat that unleavened bread 7 days. Every day you have to eat some.
Right.
So it's a constant reminder. You got to eat
Right.
some every day.
That's right. You understand? And this is a diet that the Most High has given us. This is not something that somebody may have said, okay, this is my concoction. This is right what the Most High has given you, what He wants you to do. You understand? You can say, well, who wrote that? That's man writing that. You know, at times you try to keep your cool when people come with that foolish because That's the mindset, and that's the understanding that Satan puts into in their minds. You understand? And this is the thing that society has projected in their mind to believe that. But anything that's contrary, they will accept and believe. But when it comes to this, no, man wrote that. You understand? Yeah.
And you can tell too that the spirits on them because they irritated.
Yeah.
Can't take it.
They can't take it. They want to fight against it,
Right.
rebuttal it. But when you look into and you look at these things here, you see what the Most High wrote here is direct and it's precise, man. It's on point. But people don't want to allow to see the Most High words work in them. They rather fight against it. You understand? But they don't fight against the bullcrap that the society projects and teaches. You understand? Read on.
Verse 21. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel, and said unto them, Draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the
So
Passover.
he said, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families and kill the Passover. So if you had like 20 people in your family, how many lambs you have to get? No, you can't get one.
3, 4.
At least 4 lambs.
Whoa.
At least.
That's a lot.
You know what I mean? If you have a big family, you know.
And that lamb is small too. You got to think about
Yeah.
how small he is in the first year.
You know. All right. Read on.
Verse 22. And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop, and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintels and the 2 side posts.
And dip the blood in the hyssop and strike the 2 side posts. So this was a righteous ritual the Most High was giving us. All right. Read on.
With the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out at the door of this house until the morning.
All right. So the Most High is putting that blood as a protection over us. Right. In Egypt. All right. Read on.
Verse 23. For the Most High will pass through to smite the Egyptians. And when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the 2 side posts, the Most High will pass over the door, and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you.
And who was the destroyer that the Most High sent?
Yahushua.
Right, the death angel. Right, he sent the death angel on Yahushua. And the blood was there for a significant reason, because the blood was going to represent the death of all the firstborn of Egypt. All right? That's why the Most High said, vengeance is mine, man. Because the Most High will execute that vengeance right. You understand? And and the Most High said there's no redemption without bloodshed. So blood has to be shed. You understand? Because Egypt was into a lot of wickedness too, man. It was a great empire, but it was great into a lot of witchcraft, wickedness, idolatry. It was big into a lot of madness, man. You know? All right? Read on.
Verse 24. And ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. And it shall come to pass, when ye be come to the land which the Most High will give you, according as he had promised, that ye shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, What mean ye by this service?
And your children going to ask you, well, why are you doing that, Papa? Why are you doing? What's the purpose of that? Why are you sprinkling the blood? Why are you killing the lamb? Children going to ask that. So the Most High said, this is the reason why you're going to explain to them. This is why it's being done. All right? Read on.
Verse 27. That ye shall say, It is the sacrifice of Yahweh's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses. And the people bowed their head and worshipped. And the children of Israel went away, and did as the Most High had commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. Verse 29. And it came to pass that at midnight the Most High smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captives that was in the dungeon.
So the Most High slew from the highest level to the lowest level of the Egyptians. The Most High slew. And he came in at midnight. Why the Most High chose midnight? Because that's the time everybody's going to sleep. Everybody's ready to go in now. Everybody's ready to, stop doing the daily functions.
Yeah.
You know, you're laying down. So the Most High said, yeah, this is when I'm going to bring that death angel at midnight. Right? 12 o'clock midnight, I'm going to bring that death angel. Right? Yeah, you had your hand?
Go
No.
on.
Oh, okay. All right, read on.
And all the firstborn of cattle, And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt.
Right, it was a great cry all throughout Egypt, man. Mourning and crying. You imagine when you see your sons dead, from the highest official to the lowest official dead. Imagine that, man. Your firstborn son, you're going to be the next Pharaoh to rule. And you're going to put pressure on those Israelites. And you had hope in him. Son, when you rule, don't let up. You put the pressure on those Hebrews. And you had your hopes ready to anoint him the next king.
Right.
And the next day he's dead. All your hopes shattered. Your dreams, yeah.
So Pharaoh must not have been a firstborn then, because he, went after Moses.
Mm-hmm. No, but his sons after him.
But I understand,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, Pharaoh must not have been a firstborn.
No, he wasn't the firstborn, no. Because you had many pharaohs during this time too. You understand? Because you had the Pharaoh when Moses first fled Egypt. And when he fled, there was another Egypt that came in. And when he came back, it was another Pharaoh.
Exactly.
And when he came back, this same Pharaoh was the one that was there until he led us out of Egypt. You understand? So this one here, so when he woke up and he saw everybody dead, you know, that must hurt him bad, man. That hurt him bad, you know.
But that was
You know. All right. Read on.
For there was not a house where there was not one dead. Verse 31. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, rise up and get you forth from among my people. Both ye.
So now he's like, nah, this is it. You Hebrews gotta leave now. This is it. You gotta leave now, man.
He didn't even wait till the morning.
He said, no, leave now. Forget about the morning. Leave now. Get the hell out, man.
Get out of here.
All right.
all your messages.
Go ahead.
It said, both ye and the children of Israel, and go, serve Yahweh as he have said.
Go serve your God, man. Get out of Egypt, man. This is too much of beer now. All right. Read on.
Also take your flocks and your herds, as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also.
Now he want a blessing now. Now that's when he want a blessing now. All right.
God sent you away.
All right. And now you realize the power of the Most High. Now you want a blessing now. When it's too late now. All right. Read on.
Verse 33. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste. For they said, we be all dead men.
Yeah, when they saw it, they said, man, we might all be dead men too. You understand? When you saw that dead, from the highest ruling official to the lowest in Egypt, you know that's no joke, man. All right? Read on.
And the people took their dough before it was leavened.
See, and we took the dough before it was leavened, because they was getting ready, they was kneading the dough. Before they could even put the yeast in it, Mosiah said, no, get out of Egypt. Don't put no yeast in that bread. Let's go. Because when you put the yeast, it's going to take time to rise. So the Mosiah said, no, you ain't got no time for that. You leaving out now. Now, in haste. All right? Read on.
Their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses. And they borrowed of the Egyptian jewels of silver and of jewels of
We ain't
gold.
borrow. We took it. We ain't borrowed nothing. We took it. And the Egyptians go, hey, take it. Just get the hell out. We ain't borrowed nothing. They was willing to give us everything because of that. We didn't borrow. We took it. Come on, give it. Come on. Take it off. Bring it up. Bring it. And they was run it. And they was just, hey, take it. Get the hell out, man. Let's get out of Egypt, man. All right. Read on.
Jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And the Most High gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians.
So you see right here, the Most High gave us, they gave us jewels of silver and gold, all right? Because that was the money back then. That was the main currency back then, all right? Silver and gold, all right? And they gave those things up, all right? Okay, now from there go to Leviticus, all right? Just going to touch on that for a minute. Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. I start here from
Verse 4.
start from verse 4.
Leviticus chapter 23, verse 4. These are the feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations.
Right, so even holy convocation means these are gathering of the congregations together, when the congregation meet, all right, to celebrate these days. All right, read on.
Which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
In their season, because a lot of the high holy days comes in the seasons, all right? In the springtime, name 2 high holy days that come in the springtime.
Days of
Passover.
unleavened bread and Pentecost.
Right, and first fruits.
First fruits.
Right.
First fruits.
These 2 high holy days come in the springtime. Now, what high holy day comes in the summertime?
Today's Pentecost.
Pentecost,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And what high holy day comes in the fall season?
Trumpets and
Tabernacles.
tabernacles.
And tabernacles,
Amen.
right?
Mhm.
So it comes in their season where the Most High have these high holy days, all right? And which one comes in the winter time? This is the dead, barren season, Hanukkah. But that's not so much the high holy that the Most High gave us, all right? This was one that the Maccabees did in honor to show the Most High their respect and reverence to the Most High, where they dedicated that day, the temple, back to the Most High. But the high holy that the Most High gave us are these days, all right? So we didn't really have much of a high holy day in the winter time, because that's a barren season. You understand? That's when the land is pumped up, it's closed up. You can't farm, you can't grow nothing. So that's why the Most High said, in the ingathering of the season, you bring in all your crops. Bring all your crops in and you stir it up in your barn for the winter, and then you get ready. And when the spring comes, you get ready for the new harvest. So from the fall through the early part of the spring, you have all the harvest already in your barns. Then when the spring come up, you got the new fresh harvest. You understand? So you had all that stuff stored up in your barns. All right, so you didn't have to go and farm and till the land because it's barren in the winter season. All right, so Hanukkah, mainly that was the main one in the winter time, but which was not of the Most High, but which, like I said before, the Maccabees dedicated to the Most High in reverence to the Most High because of the rededication of the temple. All right, and Purim comes like around when? And like in the winter time too. In the winter time too. But that was something that Esther also dedicated to the Most High too. All right. These 2 days, these 2 holidays were not instituted by the Most High. All right. So read on.
Verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month, it even is the Most High's Passover.
All right. So the Most High, see, he's reiterating the same track again. So when you read it, you won't get no misunderstandings that you know. In the 14th day at even is the Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. All right, read on.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread unto the Most High. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread. In the first day ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High 7 days. And the 7th day is in holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein.
So the last day is a holy convocation, the gathering of the congregation. All right? So now from there, go to Deuteronomy, the 16th chapter. We basically have a basic understanding of the Passover. Deuteronomy, the 16th chapter. And this is what the Most High requires of us. Deuteronomy, the 16th chapter. Read the first verse again.
Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 1. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover.
See? So now the Most High letting us know Abib. When is Abib? Abib is the springing forth of the year, which is the springtime, when everything starts to spring forth. So he's giving you an idea now, so you won't say, well, when is the first month? Most High let you know. Hold that and go back to Exodus, the 13th chapter. We have to read that scripture too. Exodus 13. All right, so the Most High let you know Abib will be the springtime, the springing forth of the months. So in a couple more weeks, you're going to see it's going to start to spring forth. spring is coming up. All right, Exodus 13 and the first verse.
Exodus chapter 13, verse 1. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine. And Moses said unto the people, Remember this day in which ye came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For by strength of hand the Most High brought you out from this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten. This day came ye out in the month of Abib.
In the month of Abib, which means the springing forth of the month. All right, so in our calendar it will be between late March and April, when the spring comes in. All right, when everything starts to spring forth. That's our calendar, the beginning of the year. And then you have the so-called Jews say, Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the year. How foolish can you be? It doesn't make sense. The head of the year, Rosh Hashanah. No, it's not the head of the year. But they use that say it's the head of the civil year. All right, but it's not the beginning of the year of the calendar the Most High gave us. All right, because Rosh means head or beginning. All right, they say Rosh in the modern Hebrew, and we say Ra'ash. All right, for beginning. And Shana, which means year. All right. But when you read it, Most High tell you the beginning of the year is in Abib, the month Abib. All right. So now go back to Deuteronomy the 16th chapter.
Deuteronomy 16, verse 1. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Most High thy power. For in the month of Abib, the Most High thy power brought thee forth out of Egypt by night.
So that's when we came out of Egypt, in the springtime. All right, read on.
Thou shalt therefore sacrifice the Passover unto the Most High thy power, of the flock and the herd, in the place which the Most High shall choose to place his name there.
All right, so the Passover always comes in the springtime. Always around the springtime. All right. Or late winter approaching the springtime. All right. And most of the time, I should say all the time, when the Passover is kept, it's a full moon. That moon is full. All right. Read on.
Thou shalt eat no leavened bread with thee. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread therewith, even the bread of affliction. For thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt in haste.
All right, so we came out in haste, in a hurry. All right, read on.
That thou mayest remember the day when thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt, all the days of thy life.
And this day was always kept as a commemoration to remember what the Most High did for us. Now, when we leave this modern day Egypt, yes, it's going to be another Passover Exodus. All right? Yeah. And this one is going to be much greater than the one in Egypt. The one of Egypt, that's going to be a old saying. That's going to be like, whoa, that's done. This is going to be the new saying when we leave this Egypt, brothers and sisters. You understand? And the Most High tells you, and let's go to that real quick. That's going to be a great saying that day, boy. It's in Jeremiah here. Jeremiah 16.
John 16 verse 14.
Right. Start from Jeremiah 16 and 14.
Jeremiah chapter 16 verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Most High, that it shall no more be said, the Most High liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
That saying is going to be no more. That's going to be played out. It ain't going to be no need to saying that, because this is going to be the new center of attraction here when we leave this modern day Egypt. All right? Read on.
But the Most High liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north.
And that's where we are, the land of the north. Also, it was also represented to Babylon too, when we was in Babylon. Because a lot of times the scriptures is also twofold too. Sometimes it's threefold. All right? It's not just at that particular time only. It also could relate to the past, the present, and the future. That's how the Most High operates. All right? So now he's referring to this modern day time that we're living in. All right? Read that verse again.
Verse 15. But the Most High liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them.
So what he says, and all the lands that he had driven us. All right? In the four corners of the earth. Read on.
And I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers.
See, and he said, and I will bring future tense. All right? Again, meaning again a second time. All right? Into the land that I gave unto their fathers. All right? So go back to Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy
16. Left off in the fourth verse. Yeah.
Deuteronomy chapter 16 verse 4. And there shall be no leavened bread seen with thee in all thy coasts 7 days. Neither shall there anything of the flesh which thou sacrifice the first day at even remain all night until the morning.
Right, so they have to be killed. They have to be eaten, and the rest have to be burned. Nothing left over. Go ahead.
Thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates, which the Most High thy power giveth thee. But at the place which the Most High thy power shall choose to place his name in, there thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at even. At the going down of the sun, at the season that thou camest forth out of Egypt.
See, the Most High is making it more explicit here. He let you know, right? He said, at the even, at the going down of the sun. That's when a day begins, and that's when a day ends. When that sun goes down, it's a new day. That day ends. All right, so the Most High is letting us know right here, at the going down of the sun. So if you say, how do you know when a day starts and begins? The Most High is telling you right here. All right, read that verse again.
Verse 6. But at the place which the Most High thy power shall choose to place his name in, there thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at even.
At evening, read on.
At the going down of the sun, at the season that thou camest forth out of Egypt.
All right, read on.
And thou shalt roast and eat it in the place which the Most High thy power shall choose. And thou shalt turn in the morning and go in unto thy tents. 6 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day shall be a solemn assembly to the Most High thy power. Thou shalt do no work therein.
All right, read on.
7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee.
So the Most High, from that point, you shall number unto these 7 weeks, which is going to lead you up until the first fruits. All right? So that's 7 Sabbaths complete. All right? Read on.
Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn.
Right. So when that corn starts to spring up, you put the sickle to that corn. And the corn comes up like around the springtime. Right? When that corn starts to bud, you put that sickle to it. Well, actually, yeah, around the springtime. That's when it comes up, yeah.
Because the season before that, because he does our food
In seasons.
and seasons,
Right.
agricultural seasons
Right.
also lined up. And then it's when we having the Passover, it's barley
The
season.
barley season,
So
right.
that'll be over.
Right.
And in the 50 weeks.
So
we
great,
start
the Most High is
corn
great,
coming
man,
out.
how he does things, man. And that's why you hear some people that are vegetarian or that are very strict in their diet, they eat food according to its season. Because not all food is in season all year round. You understand? And then Most High show you the same thing. Food comes in season. So you eat food when it's in season. How are you going to eat watermelon when it's not in season? That means something is not right with it. Yeah? If you get watermelon in the winter time, something ain't right. Now let's say had it stored for a long time in a barn or something. But when the watermelon season come around?
Summer.
In the summertime. You understand?
And the tomatoes.
And then yeah, you understand? Fruits and vegetables come in different seasons. Even with fish. Certain fish you could get in abundance in certain season, and some you can't get it because the mating season is not popular. And even the bears know that too. When the bears go and hunt for the salmons, right? When they go and hunt for the salmons.
All summer long. All summer. So that they can be prepared
Right.
for their winter.
So as that spring comes out
Yeah,
and it
From
starts
spring
to go to
summer.
mate, they go and hunt for all those fish. Right? And then in the winter time, that's it.
Done.
Most High does everything in season and cycle. Most High is great, man. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And even some of the fish, they don't produce in the winter. They move
Yeah,
to
they
where
move.
the water's warm.
Right, it's warm.
Because they don't swim in cold water.
Right, right. You understand? Because
Some of them
everything
don't
is done in
swim cold
seasons.
water.
You understand? Most High is great, man. There's a lot of science to the way the Most High does things. And the more you read, you're like, wow, Most High is great how he does things, man. You know? Very great, man. Yeah.
Question, the 7 weeks begins at the end of Passover, correct? Or is the counting
Yeah.
from the first day?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And that 7 weeks goes right up. All right, which gives you like a whole month. A month from what? That's a month and a couple days. 49 days. A month on what? Over 2 weeks.
And 2 weeks.
Yeah,
More than 2 weeks.
yeah, more than 2 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Do it.
I'd like some more.
That's what I got. Do it. That's good. Do it. All right. Read that verse again. Yeah.
Verse 9. 7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee. Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn. And thou shalt keep the feast of weeks unto the Most High thy power with the tribute of a free will offering of thine hand, which thou shalt give unto the Most High thy power, according as the Most High thy power hath blessed thee. And thou shalt rejoice before the Most High thy power, thou and thy son, and thy daughter, and thy manservant, and thy maidservant, and the Levite that is within thy gates, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are among you, in the place which the Most High thy power hath chosen to place his name there.
All right. So the Most High gave us days to celebrate and rejoice and to be merry and to do things. And that's why the Most High blessed us. All right. Read on.
Verse 12. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in Egypt, and thou shalt observe and do these statutes.
And the Most High said, observe and do these statutes because you were a slave in Egypt. All right. Read on.
Verse 13. Thou shalt observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days after that thou hast gathered in thy corn and thy wine.
All right. And this comes like in the fall season, the Feast of Tabernacles. All right. Read on.
And thou shalt rejoice in thy feast, thou and thy son, and thy daughter, and thy manservant, and thy maidservant, and the Levite, the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are within thy gates. 7 days shalt thou keep a solemn feast unto the Most High thy power.
See now, you wondering why the Most High keeps saying 7, 7, 7? Because 7 is a very significant and spiritual number of the Most High.
Good.
It's a spiritual number. Right? It's a completion and it's a very spiritual number. The Most High used 7. All throughout the scripture, the Most High uses 7. Right? It's a very spiritual number. Alright? It has a spiritual meaning to the Most High too. Alright? Read on.
Verse 15. 7 days shalt thou keep a solemn feast unto the Most High thy power, in the place which the Most High shall choose, because the Most High thy power shall bless thee in all thine increase, and in all the works of thine hands. Therefore thou shalt surely rejoice. 3 times in a year shall all the males appear before the Most High thy power, in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles, and they shall not appear before the Most High empty.
So these 3 particular high holy days, these are the days that's recommended and that's required by the Most High, that we all must appear before the Most High. Right? What are those 3 days? Those 3 high holy days?
Unleavened bread, weeks, and tabernacles.
Right. Passover, Feast of Weeks, and the Feast of Tabernacles, which the first Feast of Weeks is what you call the first fruits. Right? Those 3 times a year. That's the time we should mainly appear before the Most High. Right? So that basically covered the Passover and that, and then we're going to move on to another subject. My next subject was going to be about Paul, dealing with Paul in the difficulties he had bringing, teaching this truth to our people. Name me 3 difficulties that Paul had to face while teaching his truth to our people. What was 3 primary difficulties that he faced in dealing with our people?
Persecution from other Israelites.
Mainly from who?
Those who knew that they were Israelites.
Right, those that kept the law. Those that kept the law. They were on Paul's case and try to influence the other congregation. You gotta keep the law. They were this is the law, the law, strict to the law. All right, and name the next 2. Name if you could name them.
Traveling. I remember reading that he said he was shipwrecked a couple times. He had to. He was beaten a few times. He was whipped. He was stoned.
He was starving.
Right.
Right. He was starving a lot of times, and the third one escapes me.
Right. Anybody else?
Ben, could we say his own inner confusion
As to what?
dealing with what the Most High wanted him to do, and dealing with the prophets and doing what they wanted him to do.
Right. So he had to deal with his with the problem of his authenticity.
Okay.
He had to constantly try to prove to them that, listen, I'm authentic. I'm not the person I used to be. Because they didn't trust him. What? Yo, no. You a Pharisee, man. So he had to prove to them that now he was changed and he's dealing with the Messiah. And then he had to deal with the leaders and the elders, the Pharisees, like, yo, you teaching heresies. They say they accuse him of teaching heresies, that he was teaching false doctrine to the congregation. Then he had to come back and reassure the congregation not to fall back into heresies and not believing what he taught them. So he had a great fight. That's why he said he fought a good fight to the end. Because Paul's fight wasn't like the other disciples, man. You understand? He had a hell of a fight, man. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, I got a scripture to go with this. I was reading this on the way here, actually. It's Galatians 1 and 21 to 24. And it says, afterwards I came into the regions of Syria and Cilicia, and was unknown by the face unto the churches of Judea which were in Hamashiach. But they that heard, they had heard only that he which persecuted us in times past now preacheth the faith which once he destroyed.
Right.
And he glorified the Most High in me.
Right. So they were like kind of skeptical with that. You know what I mean? And he had to constantly show them, listen, man. And then when he did that, they say, oh, you boasting yourself now because you got all this realm knowledge? So he had to come out and show them, listen, I'm not boasting. I'm just showing you because some of you are so hard. You know what I'm saying? He had to go back to the churches and build them back up, because then you have some people come in and tell him, I don't believe what he's teaching you. He's a false teacher. He's a false teacher. So he had a great job. That's why he had to constantly be traveling back and forth and writing letters. And it's the same thing today too. That same spirit that was back then is back here again today. Paul is a false. Paul, don't believe the writing that Paul teach you. Paul teach you not to keep the laws. Paul's against the laws of the Most High. No, he wasn't. Paul was showing you, now that you know the laws of the Most High, what's the next level now? You understand? Paul was showing them the spiritual thing, but they couldn't get it. They would just say, you got to keep the law. Paul knew the law. Paul didn't teach against the law. Paul was showing them the spiritual part of the law that they couldn't comprehend. Yeah.
And he had to break down everything.
Yeah, he had to break it down, man. He had to go, and then he had to go over and over to the different churches. He had to come back in Galatians, then come back to Corinthians and explain the same thing. Explain the same thing over again. And it was a fight. It was a constant fight. You understand? So he had a hell of a job, man. You understand? His job wasn't an easy job. So that's why he said in the scriptures why it was done to him and why he had to go through these things. Because remember, he told you the reason why he suffered these things because what he did to the church. He wasted the church, man. So he had a hell of a job. You understand? And he told you, he said he fought a good fight until the end. Right? But let's go to First Thessalonians. I want to show you, because a lot of people get the idea Paul was teaching against the laws. But Paul's emphasis wasn't so much the laws, because Paul knew the law. But he was showing the people the spirituality of the law. All right? Because remember too, the Israelites that were in these different regions, they were in different lands. So were they able to fully keep the law like we were back in our land? No. It's just like we're here today. We're not fully able to keep the laws of the Most High in the perfect manner. And he understood that. So he was showing them the balance of the law, now the spirituality of certain things. But people, that's why go to 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, and start from the 16th verse. I want to show you something here. And this is the reason why Peter made that statement.
Sorry, 15. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. And account that the long suffering of our Messiah is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul also, according to the wisdom given unto him, hath written unto you.
See, now it says, an account that the long suffering of our Lord Yahushua is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul, also according to the wisdom given unto him. Because Paul was given that wisdom from Hamashiach. All right, he gave him that wisdom. All right, read that part again. According to the wisdom.
According, even as our beloved brother Paul, also according to the wisdom given unto him, hath written unto you.
So Paul wrote to the Israelites, right? And he wrote in epistles, in letters, all right? Because he did all the traveling. The other apostles didn't travel. They stayed mainly in Jerusalem in that era. But Paul traveled all over Asia Minor. All right, read on.
As also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood.
Right, so it might be hard to be understood what Paul was writing. But what is he writing, man? Is he teaching a different doctrine? Is he teaching not to keep the law? What is Paul teaching? All right, so it was hard to be understood back then for a lot of people. All right, read on.
Which they that are unlearned and unstable rest.
So they're wrestling. They're unlearned and they're wrestling with the scriptures because they don't understand what Paul was teaching. All right, read on.
As they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction.
And that's what they do with all the other scriptures too. Just like the other scriptures, they do it to their own destruction.
Okay.
All right, read on.
Ye therefore.
Yeah.
That's like the last verse you had said. That's like interpreting the scriptures the way you want to.
Right, and so they don't have the understanding of it. You understand? So they end up to their own destruction. All right, read on.
Ye therefore, beloved.
So now he's let you know, Peter's letting you know, ye therefore, beloved. Read on.
Seeing ye know these things before.
So Paul said, listen, you know these things before. All right, he's letting us back then know, and those of us today know. All right, read on.
Beware lest ye also, being led away with the error of the wicked, fall from your own steadfastness.
He said, you don't fall from your own steadfast. Don't be caught into what they tell people telling you all day. Oh, Paul was teaching contrary. Paul didn't teach the law. Paul was at this and that. Don't believe that, because that's what they want to do, to make you fall from your steadfastness in the scriptures. All right, read on.
But grow in grace.
But he said, grow in grace. Grow in the grace of the Most High. Read on.
And in the knowledge of our Savior, Hamashiach Yahushua. To him be glory both now and forever. Amen.
All right. Now go to First Thessalonians, the 4th chapter. I'm going to show you something. And we're going to start from the top. 1 Thessalonians 4:1.
First,
and what you see Paul showing you here is the law. But he don't have to quote the law, because he already know the law. So he's showing you the law in a way that you can understand what he's showing you. All right? Start from the top. 1 Thessalonians 4:1.
1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 1. Furthermore, then we beseech you, brethren, and exhort you by the Hamashiach Yahushua, that as ye have received of us, how ye ought to walk and to please the Most High.
See what he said? How you ought to walk and how to please the Most. How do you please the Most High? By keeping His commandments and His laws. That's how you please the Most High. All right? Read on.
So ye would abound more and more.
So you would abound more and more. All right? Read on.
For ye know what commandments we gave you by the Mashiach Yahweh.
See what he said? For you know what commandments we gave you by the Lord Yahushua. All right? Read on.
For this is the will of the Most High, even your sanctifications, that ye should abstain from fornication.
Where does this come from?
The Lord.
The law. Now let's prove that. All right? Let's go to the book of Leviticus. Go to Leviticus. Let me show you. Start here. One second. Leviticus 20 and start from Leviticus 20 and 22.
Leviticus chapter 20, verse 22. Ye shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments, and do them, that the land whither I bring you to dwell therein spew you not out. And ye shall not walk in the manner of the nations which I cast out before you, for they committed all these things, and therefore I abhorred them. But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit their land, and I will give it to you unto you to possess it, a land that floweth with milk and honey. I am the Most High your power, which have separated you from other people.
See that? Go ahead.
Ye shall therefore put difference between clean beasts and unclean, and between unclean fowls and clean. And ye shall not make your souls abominable by beasts, or by fowl, or by any manner of living thing that creepeth on the ground, which I have separated from you as unclean. And ye shall be holy unto me, for I the Most High am holy, and have severed you from other people, that ye should be mine.
All right. Now go over. See, he's showing you the same thing. Now go over here to all right, go back. I'm gonna find. Go out to Thessalonians. Damn, I just had it here. Sorry about it. This one in Numbers.
Looking for like Numbers, Israel.
But I'm gonna get it. Okay, go back here. So,
First Thessalonians,
we left off in the third verse.
First Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 3. For this is the will of the Most High, even your sanctification, that ye should abstain from fornication, that every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor.
All right, go to Leviticus here. Leviticus, the 11th chapter.
Leviticus chapter 11,
Verse 44.
verse 44. For I am the Most High your power. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye shall be holy.
See the same thing Paul is showing you? It's the law. It's the same thing. All right, read on.
For I am holy. Neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
All right, now go back to Thessalonians. So Paul is showing the same thing here, the law. But he's not, you don't have to come like I said, the Most High said, thou shalt be, thou shalt. He's letting them know, showing them the law in his letters, in his epistles. All right, read on.
That every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor.
And what's your vessel? Your body, your temple. All right, read on.
Verse 5. Not in the lust of concupiscence, even as the Gentiles, which know not the Most High. That no man go beyond and defraud his brother in any matter, because that the Most High is the avenger of all such, as we also have forewarned you and testified.
And where would you find the law? Thou shalt not oppress or defraud your brother. It's in the law, right? Where is it from? In the book of Leviticus. Let's go to Leviticus. Let me show you. It's in here.
Something about usury, right?
Right, using oppression, yeah. So Paul is showing the same thing here. I think it's in Exodus.
Also, Ben, if your brother bless you with a compliment, don't be taking your time about returning it. Return it right back. I think that's in that verse too.
Yeah, let me see, Exodus. It's in Exodus here. Exodus. Yeah, Exodus. Yeah, Exodus. Right here, Exodus. Say thou shalt not defraud. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Read something on Leviticus.
Leviticus 19 and 13.
Yeah, you got one there, right? 19 and 13, right? Yeah. What it says here,
Oh
man?
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 13.
Yeah, that's
Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor.
That's it. See what it says right there? Read it again.
Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning.
And that's what Paul is getting it from when he says right here. Now go back here to the 6th verse now. So Paul is showing him the law right here. You understand? So read 1 Thessalonians 4 and 6 again.
1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 6. That no man go beyond and defraud his brother in any matter, because that the Mashiach is the avenger of all such, as we also have forewarned ye and testified.
Now read Leviticus 19 and 13 again.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 13. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning.
Right, and the Most High says you should not oppress your brother neither. All right, so go back to 1 Thessalonians.
1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 7. For the Most High hath not called us unto uncleanness, but unto holiness. He therefore that despiseth not men, but the Most High, who hath also given unto us his Holy Spirit. But as touching brotherly love, ye need not that I write unto you, for ye yourselves are taught of the Most High to love one another.
So what Paul was saying here, he said, but as touching brotherly love, you don't have no need that I have to come and tell you that or write you that. You already know this. Why? Because it was already taught in the law. You understand? Yeah, you read it. Yeah.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17 and 18. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart.
So this is where he's getting it from the law. He's showing you. Everything that he was showing here was from the law. But Paul was showing on a spiritual level. No. He had to come back and said, the Most High said, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. He's showing you right here. All right? He's bringing the people up to a different level now. Because they already knew the law. All right? You're not babies no more. All right? Read on.
Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him.
All right?
Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Right. So that's why he said, but as touching brotherly love, you need not that I write unto you, for ye yourselves are taught of the Most High to love one another.
God.
So he's already shown you that it is already done in the law. All right? So go back to Thessalonians.
1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 7, or verse 8. He therefore that despiseth not man.
We read that. We 10 now. Yeah.
10, yeah. And indeed ye do it toward all the brethren which are in all Macedonia.
So where was Macedonia now? It was in Greece. So now we had it was a contention between the Israelites that live in the land and those that live outside the land that was separate. So they had to figure out, listen, they're like Gentiles. They're not part of us because they were living in different lands. So being that they were living in Greece, what were they doing? Abomination, keeping the lifestyle of the Greeks. You understand? They were following the ways of the Greeks. That's why they were called Hellenists. They were called Hellenist Israelites. All right? And those who are living in the land kept the laws. And you're uncircumcised. They call them uncircumcised. So Paul had to go to those Israelites. Some of them knew the laws. Some didn't keep the law, but Paul was teaching them. All right? Read on.
But we beseech you, brethren, that ye increase more and more, and that ye study to be quiet, and to do your own business, and to work with your own hands, as we commanded you, that ye may walk honestly toward them that are without, and that ye may have lack of nothing. But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahushua will the Most High bring with him.
Right, so when he said, even those that sleep with him, will he bring, what does that mean? Those are dead. Right. All right, read on.
Verse 15. For this we say unto you by the word of the Mashiach, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Mashiach Yahushua shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Mashiach Yahushua himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in the Mashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, to meet the Mashiach in the air. And so shall we ever be with the Mashiach Yahushua.
So when he says, and so shall we be ever with the Mashiach, I mean we're going to be up in the sky forever? Does that mean that? No. No, because Peter realized, oh, we're going to be up in the heavens forever. It doesn't mean that. Right? But we're going to be with the most Yahushua in one, in spirit and unity. But we're going to be caught there for that time being until the destruction is overpassed. All right? Because we're going to be delivered out from this great destruction that's coming. All right? Because the Most High is going to destroy this filth over here. Done. All right? Just like he did Sodom and Gomorrah, it's going to be destroyed. All right? Read on.
Verse 18. Wherefore comfort one another with these words.
All right. Now from there, let's go over here now and show how Paul had to verify his authenticity. All right. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. Because he had to be fighting against even those that he taught the truth and those who are opposing him. All right. So his job wasn't an easy job, man. His job was constantly on the move, man. All right, let's go to 2 Corinthians, and let's start from the 2 Corinthians, the 10th chapter and the first verse.
2 Corinthians chapter 10, you said verse 4?
10 and verse 1.
2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1. Now I, Paul, myself beseech you by the meekness and gentleness of the Mashiach, who in presence am base among you, but being absent and bold toward you.
So when he said he's absent, he's bold towards him. What does he mean by that? He said, when I'm with you, I'm base among you, but being absent from you, I'm bold towards you. Why was that?
He's in prison, and he was basically praying.
That's partly true, but what was the reason why when he was with them, he was base, and then when he was being absent from them, he was bold toward them? Why was he bold towards them when he wasn't with them?
Could it be that they thought he was more harsh?
That too. But when I'm in the presence of you, I'm here with you. There's no need for me to be bold, because I'm right here with you to explain everything. But when he's away from them, he has to be more bolder and more strict. Why? Because he's not in the presence of them. You understand? So they are everywhere. So you have to be bold in when he wrote to them. You understand? But when he's with them, now he can explain and be more loose and talk with them. But being separate from him, he had to be bold towards them. Because remember, he was going through different things with the congregation, those who are opposing him, and even those that he was teaching the truth. Yeah.
And then if you go off, he make you eat your words.
Right. You understand? All right. So read on.
Verse 2. But I beseech you, that I may not be bold when I am present.
See, so when he's present, there's no need to be bold.
Right.
Because he's there with you to answer your question. He's there to comfort you. He's there to talk with you. You understand? Read on.
With that confidence, wherewith I think to be bold against some, which think of us as if we walked according to the flesh.
Right, so some people talk, you walking according to the flesh. Now Sam was judging him according to different things. All right, read on.
For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of the Most High, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of the Mashiach.
And that's what he had to do to some of the congregations. All right, read on.
Verse 6. And having in a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled. Do ye look on things after the outward appearance?
So that's what someone was doing. They were looking at the outward appearance of Paul. So Paul said, do you look at the outward appearance of things? All right, read on.
If any man trust to himself that he is the Mashiach, let him of himself think this again, that as he is the Mashiach, even so we are the Mashiach.
Because you have someone saying, yeah, I'm the Mashiach too. So Paul said, well, we all are the Mashiach because we are in the Mashiach. You understand? Paul had a hell of a fight with a lot of these different churches and different areas, man. A lot of contention. All right? Read on.
For though I should boast somewhat more of our authority.
So when Paul did boast of his authority, they're like, how come you boast of your authority now? Because when he went to some place, he had to magnify and boast his authority because they didn't believe what he was saying. So he had to make it known. Listen, man, I'm telling you this here, man. I got this knowledge from the Mashiach. And I'm writing to let you know these things. That they were still kind of living like, where you got this knowledge from? Who taught you that? You came here as a spy? What you came here for? All right, read on.
Which the Lord hath given us for edification, and not for your destruction.
So he said it was for your edification, not for your destruction. All right, read on.
I should not be ashamed, that I may not seem as if I would terrify you by letters.
Right, he didn't do it to terrify them by letters. All right, but it was to correct them and show them. All right, read on.
For his letters say they are weighty and powerful, but his bodily presence is weak, and his speech contemptible. Let such and one think this, that such as we are in word by letters when we are absent, such will we be also indeed when we are present. For we dare not make ourselves of the number, or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves.
So some was commending themselves. I'm a better teacher than Paul. I could teach you better than what Paul teaches. So they were comparing themselves. All right, and boasting themselves. All right, read on.
But they measuring themselves by themselves, and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise. But we will not boast of things without our measure, but according to the measure of the rule which the Most High hath distributed to us, a measure to reach even unto you. For we stretch not ourselves beyond our measure, as though we reached not unto you. For we are come as far as to you, also in preaching the gospel of Mashiach Yahushua, not boasting of things without our measure, that is, of other men's labors, but having hope, when your faith is increased, that we shall be enlarged by you according to our rule abundantly, to preach the gospel in the regions beyond you, and not to boast in another man's line of things made ready to our hand.
Right, so he had to reassure and show the congregation these things. All right, read on.
Verse 17. But he that glorifieth, let him glory in the Mashiach Yahushua. For not he that commendeth himself is approved, for whom the Mashiach commended.
All right. So now, go over here now. I'm going to show you something right here. I'm going to show you something here. Go over to Galatians. I want to show something in Galatians. Galatians, the first chapter and the first verse.
Galatians chapter 1, verse 1. Paul, an apostle, not of men, neither by man.
See what Paul is saying? He said, an apostle, not of men, neither by man. So Paul wasn't an apostle by man. Man sent him to be an apostle. All right? He became an apostle through Yahushua. Because people are trying to say, you made yourself an apostle? Who made you an apostle? Did man teach you this? So he's letting them know. All right?
What was that then?
Galatians chapter 1, verse 1. Read that first verse again.
Galatians chapter 1, verse 1. Paul, an apostle, not of men, neither by man, but by the Yahushua Mashiach, and the Most High, the Father, who raised him from the dead, and all the brethren which are with me, unto the churches of Galatia.
Right, so unto the churches of Galatia. All right, these were different churches in different regions. All right, which was in Asia Minor, which we call today Turkey. All right, read on.
Grace be to you, and peace from Yahweh the Father, and from our Mashiach, Yahushua, who gave himself of our sins, that he might deliver us from the present evil world, according to the will of the Most High and our Father, to whom be glory forever and ever. Amen. I marvel that ye are so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of the Mashiach unto another gospel.
So now he had to go back to this church now and said, listen, man, what is this? After I taught you all these stuff. So why was they soon removed from the gospel? Because you had other Israelites came in and said, don't believe what Paul teaching you. He's teaching you contrary doctrine. He's teaching something that totally different. So they already had in their mind believing like, yo, you're right. So when Paul went back up there now, he's like, what is this now? What is this you are bringing in here now? What kind of doctrine you are bringing in after I taught you?
Right.
All right? So you have to constantly reassure and teach your churches. That's why he had to travel so many times and write letters. That's why you have to get Timotheus, you have to get Barnabas, Sylvain, you have to get all these different guys to send these different letters out. All right? And constantly reassuring and keeping the church in tune with the gospel. Right? Because they were quickly being misled. All right? It was a lot of work. He had a lot of work, man. All right? So read that verse again.
Verse 6. I marvel that ye are so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of the Mashiach unto another gospel.
So they went to another gospel. Teach us something else that he had taught them. All right? Read on.
which is not another, but there be some that trouble you.
So who was troubling them? The different factions that came from the different churches, and some of the elders that was just came to just to teach the law. Just push the law on them. All right? Read on.
It will pervert the gospel of the Hamashiach.
So he said that they will pervert the gospel of the Hamashiach. That's what they came to do, to pervert the gospel. All right? Read on.
Verse 8. But though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which he hath preached unto you, let him be accursed.
See what Paul said? But though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. So Paul said, anybody came to you preaching any other gospel that we didn't teach you, or let him be accursed. Right? Because he had to do what? Straighten the flock and the congregation. All right? Read on.
Verse 9. As we said before, so say I now again. If any man, for I fear lest, for any man, for if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that ye have received, let him be accursed. For do I now persuade men or the Most High? Or do I seek to please men? For if I yet please men, I should not be the servant of the Mashiach Yahushua.
All right.
But I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after men.
He says not after man. All right. It wasn't something that came of man. So now he's showing the Galatians here now, because they were like, okay, Paul, somebody came and taught a different doctrine. Is it true? What you're teaching is true, or what they're saying is true?
Wow.
So they were asking Paul, what you're teaching is true, or what they're teaching is true? We want to know.
Wow.
So when he met them face to face now, he's explaining to them.
Right.
That's why he had to write a lot of letters. That's why he said when he wrote letters, he had to be bold with them.
Right.
But when he was present with them now he had to explain and go into things. You understand? Read on.
Verse 12. For I neither received it of man, neither was I taught it, but by the revelation of the Mashiach Yahushua.
So he was taught by revelation. How was he taught by revelation? Remember what he says when he was going to Damascus, and Yahushua knocked him off the horse. All right. Then remember he said he had another vision where he saw a man up in the third heaven, called to the third heaven. That's when Yahushua was revealing a lot of wisdom and revelations to him.
Okay.
All right. And that's why he said he couldn't tell about it, because if he told somebody about it, they would say, "Listen, you bugging out, man." He kept it to himself. And those that he revealed to certain of the churches. All right. Let me get that real quick. Let me show you. I think it's in.
You mean the people or the actual churches?
Huh?
When you say churches, are you referring to the people or the actual churches?
The church, the congregation, Go over here to let me show you. I think it's in Corinthians. 2 Corinthians 12:1.
2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1. It is not expedient for me, doubtless, to glory. I will come to visions and revelations of the Mashiach.
So that's why he said he received it from the revelation from the Mashiach. And that's why Peter told you the wisdom that Paul had came from the Mashiach. All right? Read on.
Verse 2. I knew a man in a Mashiach above 14 years ago.
That's when he was gone to Damascus, when he got kicked off from the horse. All right? That's the beginning of everything that he's being taught that was revealed to him. All right? Read on.
Whether in the body, I cannot tell. Or whether out of the body, I cannot tell. Most High knoweth. Such an one caught up to the third heaven. And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell. Most High knoweth. How that he was caught up into paradise, and heard unspeakable words, which it is not lawful for a man to utter.
Right, so he said it's not lawful for a man to utter, because if he utter it, people think he's bugged out and he's crazy. What are you talking about? You boasting God with all your wisdom? So certain things he had to bring out on a small levels, and some he brought on greater levels of certain churches. All right, read on.
Or such a one will I glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but in mine infirmities. For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool. For I will say the truth, but now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me.
See what he said? He said, for though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool. For I will say the truth, but now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me. So people think, oh, you think you great now, you better than everybody else now. So he didn't want to do that because you know how people think. All right, read on.
Verse 7. Unless I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan, to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure.
See, so Paul, he didn't want to do it because he didn't want to be exalted. People have a think that he's exalted with all this great wisdom and knowledge. All right, now go over here to the 2 Corinthians 11 and 15.
2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 15. Therefore, it is no great thing of his ministries, also being transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works.
Read on.
I say again, let no man think me a fool. If otherwise, yet as a fool receive me, that I may boast myself a little. That which I speak it not after the Mashiach, but as it were foolishly. In this confidence of boasting, seeing that many glory after the flesh, I will glory also. For ye suffer fools gladly, seeing ye yourselves are wise. For ye suffer if a man bring you into bondage, if a man devour you, if a man take of you, if a man exalt himself, if a man smite you on the face. I speak as concerning reproach, as though we had been weak. Howbeit, wherein so forever any is bold, I speak foolishly. I am bold also.
So now he's showing them now, because he's showing the different congregations over here, the different churches now. So he explained to them, listen, man, some of you think I'm boasting myself, I'm exalting myself. So he had to come back, and some he had to boast, and say, listen, man, I'm telling you for this reason. And some he had to abase himself, some he had to be bold, because some would just try and make mockery of him. All right, read on.
Verse 22. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites?
Yeah, he said, are these people Hebrews? Yeah. Are they Israelites? Yeah, they're Israelites too. Because he had to contend with them too. All right, read on.
So am I. Are they the seed of Abraham? So am I. Are they ministers of the Mashiach? I speak as a fool. I am more, in labors more abundant, in stripes above measure, in prisons more frequent, in death.
So he's speaking about, listen, the things that he had to go through to bring this truth to them. He said, listen, man. He said, are they ministers of the Mashiach? I speak as a fool. I am more in labors more abundant. There are things that he had to go through, man, to teach and bring this word to them. All right? Yeah, man. He said, in stripes above measure, in prisons more frequent, in death often ready to kill him, man. He said, I went through much labor to bring this truth and this gospel to you, and you try to take this as a joke? I'm boasting myself. I'm lying to you? He has to constantly show them and say, listen, man, this is no joke what I'm doing here. All right? Read on.
Verse 24. Of the Jews, 5 times received I 40 stripes.
He said, of the Jews, those that knew the law, knew the Israel, he said he was whipped by them. All right? He caught hell by them too. All right? Read on.
Thrice was I beaten with rods. Once was I stoned. Thrice I suffered shipwreck. A night and a day I have been in the deep.
You've been in the deep waters, man. All right? Almost drowned. All right? Read on.
Verse 26. In journeyings often, in journeyings often, in perils of waters, in perils of robbers, in perils by mine own countrymen.
By his own people. Right? His own Israelites. All right? Read on.
and perils by the heathen,
By the heathens, all right? The natural heathens, all right? Read on.
and perils in the city, and perils in the wilderness, and perils in the sea, and perils among false brethren.
And there were false brethren there too in the churches too. And he had to contend and deal with them too.
God.
All right? Read on.
In weariness and painfulness, in watchings often, in hunger and in thirst, in fastings often, in cold and nakedness. Beside those things that are without, that which cometh upon me daily, the care of all the churches.
So he said, even although he suffered all these things, his main concern was the care for the churches. That they received this word and the salvation. The flock. You understand? He went to every measures, man. All right? Read on.
Verse 29. Who is weak, and I am not weak? Who is offended, and I burn not?
He said, you talking about being offended? I've been offended too. You talking about being burned? All right? Read on.
If I must needs glory, I will glory of the things which concern mine infirmities. The Most High and Father of our Lord Hamashiach Yahushua, which is blessed forevermore, knoweth that I lie not. In Damascus, the governor under Aretas, the king kept the city of the Damascenes with a garrison, desirous to apprehend me.
So they was going to apprehend him. All right? Read on.
And through a window in a basket was I let down by the wall and escaped his hands.
See? So they had to let him down in a basket to escape from being apprehended. So Paul was constantly on the move, fighting amongst brethren, man. You know what I'm saying? Peter is, you know what I mean? Trying to accuse him. All right? And when he taught, they're coming with some doctrine, changing it wrong. I said, Paul, are you sure you're teaching the right thing?
God.
All right? So you have to constantly reassure the congregation and keep them up to pace, up to speed, what he was showing them. All right? Now go back to what we was in Galatians, right?
Right.
Go back to Galatians,
Galatians.
the first chapter. All right? So that's why he made that statement. Galatians,
12, I think.
we left off in the 12th verse. Yeah.
Read that again.
Yeah.
Galatians chapter 1 verse 12. For I neither received it of man, neither was I taught it, but by the revelation of the Hamashiach.
So that's how we got this information, through the revelation of Yahushua. He revealed it to him. All right? Read on.
For ye have heard of my conversation in times past in the Jews' religion.
So when he said in the Jews' religion, mean in the, what you call, well, not so much religion, because you know the word religion is a Greek word. It means in the traditions or in the customs of the Hebrews. All right? So read that verse again.
Verse 13. For ye have heard of my conversations in times past in the Jews' religion, how that beyond measure I persecuted the church of the Most High and wasted it.
So he's letting him know. He said, listen, so let him know, I did these things, right? I did these things before. I ain't lying about it. All right? Read on.
And profited in the Jews' religion above many my equals in mine own nation.
Talking about the elders and the elders and so forth. All right? Read on.
Being more exceedingly zealous of the traditions of my fathers. But when it pleased the Most High, who separated me from my mother's womb, and called me by his grace, to reveal his Son in me, that I might preach him among the heathen, immediately I conferred, not with flesh and blood.
So when he met up with Yahushua, he knew it wasn't flesh and blood. He knew that was a divine intervention by the Most High.
God.
All right? Read on.
Verse 17. Neither went I up to Jerusalem to them which were apostles before me, but I went into Arabia and returned again unto Damascus.
So he didn't go straight up to Jerusalem at that time. All right? Because he was going these different journeys. So after he came back from Arabia and Damascus, then he went up to Jerusalem to see the apostles. All right? Because he knew the order to. All right? Read on.
Verse 18. Then after 3 years I went up to Jerusalem to see Peter and abode with him 15 days.
See? Now why did he go up to Peter? Because Peter was what? The head apostle. So he knew he had to go up to Peter and sit down and talk with Peter. That's why Peter wrote in 2 Peter 3:16. What what he said about Paul. Because when they sat down and talked, Paul spoke to him. And Paul taught him certain things too. Understand? And they understood.
Right.
Understand? Paul understood Peter, and Peter understood Paul. All right? So read that verse again.
Verse 18. Then after 3 years I went up to Jerusalem to see Peter, and abode with him 15 days.
15 days. All right? Read on.
But other of the apostles saw I none, save James, Yahushua's brother.
Right? And who was James? See, James was another head of the church. Right? It was Peter, James, and John. Those were the 3 pillars of the church. All right? Yeah.
In fact, James was, he became the first bishop in the church in Jerusalem. So he had power.
Great. Because they were like the pillars of the church. It tells you in the scripture too. Peter, James, and John, who seem to be pillars of the church.
Right.
All right? Let me find that scripture real quick. It's right here in... right here, give me 1 second. Second chapter, Galatians 2 and 9.
Galatians chapter 2, verse 9. And when James, Cephas, and John,
See, these 3, James, Cephas is Peter, and John. All right, these 3 men. All right, read on.
who seemed to be pillars, perceived the grace that was given unto me, they gave to me and Barnabas the right hands of fellowship, that we should go unto the heathen, and they unto the circumcised.
And the heathen that he was talking here were the Israelites that was not keeping the Israelite customs. And so he said, and that they should go unto the circumcision. The circumcision is those that knew they were Israelites and kept the law. All right? So Peter, James, and John were the pillars of the church. All right? So go back over here to Galatians 1 and read that 18th verse again.
Galatians chapter 1, verse 18. Then after 3 years I went up to Jerusalem to see Peter, and abode with him 15 days. But other apostles saw I none, save James, Yahushua's brother. Now the things which I write unto you, behold, before the Most High, I lie
He
not.
said, I lie not. He's letting them know. The things that I'm writing to you here in Galatians, I'm not lying about these things. You might have heard these things from other churches, but it's not so. All right, read on.
Verse 21. Afterwards I came into the regions of Syria and Cilicia, and was unknown by face unto the churches of Judea, which were in Mashiach. But they had heard only that he which persecuted us in times past now preacheth the faith which once he destroyed.
So he had to go and say, listen, I'm not doing that no more. Because they heard these things. Wait a minute. This guy wasted us, wasted the church before, now he's coming telling us something now. You have to prove your authenticity to us. All right? Read on.
And they glorified the Most High in me.
All right? So with that, I'm going to continue this another time and show you the things that Paul had to go through in order to forward this gospel.
Right.
But before we close out, this is my favorite scripture I like to read all the time, 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy is my favorite scripture, and that's why Paul made this statement. Timothy, the 2nd chapter. Start from 2 Timothy, the 4th chapter, and start from the 4th chapter, the 1st verse. 2 Timothy 4 and 1.
2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. I charge thee, therefore, before the Most High, and the Mashiach Yahushua, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing in his kingdom. Preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine.
So this is what he's showing Timothy, what he has to continue and do, and also to teach the men that he taught under. Because Timothy also became a student under Paul, and he had a flock and a congregation too that he had to minister to. All right, read on.
Verse 3. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine.
So he's letting them know it's going to happen to you too, Timothy. It's going to come a time when certain people's not going to endure sound doctrine. All right, read on.
But after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears.
You're gonna come, I'm a teacher now. I don't have to listen to you. I'm a teacher. I can teach my own thing now. And they're going to have itching ears. Whatever they hear, they want to run with that. Right? Yeah.
You said 2 Corinthians, your favorite one, you said was what?
2 Corinthians chapter 4.
Second Timothy.
No.
2 Timothy.
Where we at right now?
The one before that, you said my favorite,
No, this one. This is 2 Timothy.
2 Timothy?
Yeah. Chapter 4. Yeah.
All right, go on.
Yeah, read on.
Verse 4. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth,
And that's what a lot of people is doing. Turn away their ears from the truth. Read on.
and shall be turned into fables.
And turn into fables. Lies and fairy tales. All right, read on.
But watch thou in all things, endure afflictions,
See what Paul is telling him? But watch thou, watch in all things. Endure afflictions, because you have to endure afflictions. It's going to come. All right, read on.
do the work of an evangelist, make full proof of thy ministry.
And that's what Paul had to do. He had to make full proof of his ministry. So he said to Timothy, make full proof of your ministry too. Because they're going to test you. They're going to try you. All right, read on.
Verse 6. For I am now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand.
So this is what he's telling Timothy. He's encouraging him and letting him know these things. He said, listen, the time is coming. I got to leave. I got to leave you, brother. All right, read on.
I have fought a good fight.
And that's he said, listen, I have fought a good fight. I fought a good fight in doing this work. All right, read on.
I have finished my
He
course.
said, I have finished my course, the job that I sought out to do. Read on.
I have kept the faith.
And he kept the faith. Paul kept the faith. And he's showing him likewise, you have to keep the faith too. Just like us today, we have to keep the faith. All right, read on.
Verse 8. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness.
He said, now it's going to be laid up a crown of righteousness once you've accomplished doing this job. Read on.
Which the Mashiach, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day. And not to me only, but unto all them also that love his appearing.
Not only me, but all those that love his appearing. The congregation, the flock, and those that love the same that he did and the work that he did.
Right.
And what the Most High required us to do. All right, read that last part again. But unto all them also that love his appearing. He said, right, and shall give me at that day, and not to me only. Not only him alone is going to get that reward, but all of us, all right, that continue, and but unto all them also that love his appearing. All right, read on.
Verse 9. Do thy diligence to come shortly unto me. For Demas have forsaken me, having loved his present world, and is departed unto Thessalonica, the water. Crescens to Galatia, Titus unto Dalmatia. Only Luke is with me. Take Mark and bring him with thee, for he is profitable to me for the ministry.
All right, so you see, some man forsake him and left him. All right, so that's it on that. And we're going to continue another time and show you more of what Paul had to go through in delivering this truth to some of our people. He had a great fight, man, up against the elders, the Pharisees that taught the law. All right, they convinced him of not teaching the law. All right, being a heretic, teaching false doctrine. Just like today, everybody said Paul's a false teacher. Everybody said Paul didn't teach the law. Paul teaches not to keep the law. Paul didn't teach that. You understand? But people err not knowing the scriptures and what Paul taught. All right. So with that, yeah,
With Paul when he was on trial, Acts 26 verse 22.
right.
It's saying, having therefore obtained help of the Most High, I continue unto this day, witnessing both to small and great, saying none other things than those which the prophets and Moses did say should come.
Right. So he's only saying what the prophets and what was written in the law and the prophecies. You understand? But they always came up with different accusations against Paul. So his job was a rough job, man. You know, and that's why he told you why he suffered so much. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I got one more precept.
Yeah, bring it out, yeah.
It's Acts 24 and 14.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "But this I confess unto thee, that after the way which they call heresy, so worship I the God of my fathers, believing all things which are written in the law and in the prophets."
See, and Paul differed from the law, but he was showing them how to become spiritual in the law. All right, how to balance the law. You understand? All right. Yeah. So that's
All of his weaknesses became strength.
yeah, he got strength from it, and he became a great teacher and furthering this gospel to regions where the disciples didn't go. Yes.
What scripture did Kalak read?
That's 26, right?
That was Acts 26, verse 22.
All right. So with that, I say shalom, and to the listening audience and to everybody, I say shalom. All right. I hope everybody enjoyed the class,
Look at that.
and I say shalom. So.